I have this allergic rhinitis, and so it was common for me to have cold and cough, and then asthma. But early this year, it was allergic rhinitis and then asthma, and it was off and on. And after a trip abroad, I came back, and I thought I wasn't feeling well, but then I thought to myself, maybe I haven't been exercising as much as I used to. So I did exercise. And right after that, I started to cough. And when I cough, I, I, spat, I spat phlegm with blood. So, which was a red flag. When I went to see the doctor, I he asked me the usual questions so he could diagnose. And then he said I should do an x-ray just to be sure. So we did an x-ray, it came back, and then he said, there's a spot here that I see. I think it's pneumonia, but let me put you on antibiotic treatment for a week. And then we come back and redo an x-ray. So I took the medication for a whole week, and then after that I came back and it did not resolve. When he said, well, look, it didn't resolve, I told him, Doc, maybe I should tell you that I have a brother who died of lung cancer. When he went to visit a doctor, this was exactly the same thing that he experienced. He spat blood. We did a PET scan, and in the PET scan it showed we did a city-guided biopsy where they got the tissue sample from the core of the mass, and that yielded really I was told that it was cancer. From the first consult where I was told I had pneumonia up until the time when I was told that it was cancer was about between 3 to 4 weeks. And I had never undergone so many tests in my life. I mean, it was one after the other. But I'm glad that they caught it when they did. It was like the rug was pulled from underneath me. And I just thought, oh my God, with just the snap of a finger, life was changed for me. I couldn't make long-term plans anymore. Nothing was important anymore other than being with my children and doing what needs to be done before I go, if I am to go soon. Well, it was very emotional. Of course, they cried. The one thing and that I realized, when you're faced with your own mortality, you grieve not for yourself, but for those your loved ones who you will be leaving behind. And that was what was really painful for me at the time. The thought that I would have to leave my 2 children behind. I needed four chemotherapy treatments, each costing 150 grand. And then after that, I am to undergo thoracoscopic surgery where they take out the mass. After which they hit me with radiation just to be sure that if there are any more cancer cells that are left there, the radiation would zap it. But understand that in between treatments there are diagnostics involved, and it's really a lot because prior to chemo they have to check on your blood works, they have to check your creatinine, and then you do the chemo, and then plenty other things that they monitor after every treatment. So far, I've already breached the million mark from April. We're only in September, and I haven't even done the thoracoscopic surgery yet. So it is going to cost a lot of money. Fortunately for me, I provided for this day, and I took out a good medical insurance policy long ago. I mean, I was young and healthy when I took out this policy, and I've been paying for it every year, and it has proven me correct because now I'm not having to worry about spending a single penny on my medical needs, and I can choose the best medical care available. I can choose the best doctor and not have to worry about the cost of financing it. My father was never a believer in insurance, and of course, when his time came and he was getting sick, there was no medical insurance to dip into. Luckily for us, we were 6 in the family, and we could all pitch in for my father's medical needs, and there was the business that also funded most of his medical needs. But looking back at that, and my brother getting sick with cancer, and having to spend so much money on medication, I thought to myself, I didn't want my children having to go through something like this if I ever get sick. So I think it was 2001 or in 2002, I decided I was going to get myself a good medical insurance plan. And so from that time on, I've been a Blue Cross policy holder. It was at that time Blue Cross, now Pacific Cross. Well, the thing that I like about this policy is I get to choose my doctor, because most other policies will only cover doctors that are listed under their roster. And you know, when you go to a doctor, the half of whether or not you will get well really rests on whether or not you trust the doctor who's going to treat you. And so for me, that was one of the more important things, is that I could choose the doctor, I could choose the hospital, and the coverage. It allows you to get the kind of treatment that you would like, without having to scale down. The thing about Pacific Cross, when you file a claim, or if you need something from them, you don't feel like you're getting down on your knees and begging for something that you paid for. First, we are all going to die one day. We just don't know when it's going to happen. Second, we have to change the way we look at insurance policies. We have to also change the way we look at the premiums we pay for medical insurance. We have to stop looking at it as an expense, because what you're doing is providing for a future need, in fact. when you pay premiums on your medical insurance. And this is something that I did several years ago, and it's something that's worked very well for me now. I mean, my children don't need to worry about where they're going to get the money for my treatment. I don't have to be dipping into whatever I've put away for my children, just so I can get well. All of us can concentrate on just choosing the treatment and making sure that we work toward our goal of healing. Just imagine the burden of having to deal with an illness and not having the money to pay for the treatment that the illness requires. Imagine the guilt and the turmoil that it will bring, not just you, but the members around you, family members around you. Not, of them feeling that they failed you because they're unable to help you get well because they don't have the money to pay for your treatment. I've been walking advertisement for for Pacific Cross without you knowing it, because I really experienced how I have not spent a single penny on my treatment since diagnosis. And so to me, it's something that's so real. It's not just a promise. It's a policy that I've tried, and it's worked. And I've, every time I talk to people and they ask me, so how are you funding all? Because that's the very first question that you get after people find out that you have cancer, because they know that it's an expensive illness to treat. And I tell them that I provided for this day by buying myself a good policy from Pacific Cross. And now I'm enjoying the benefits of owning one, getting good treatment without the worries, and being able to concentrate on just my well-being. My hope is that I'm able to see my grandchildren grow up and get married. Sige na, hindi ko nahingi na makita yung magiging anak nila. Because that may be asking too much.